Hello. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I woke up, and the first thing I did was I grabbed my telephone, and I wanted to see how something I was doing was working out online. And that sent me into a mental safari, and I was not able to go back to sleep for another hour or two. I got back to sleep, I woke up again, and the first thing I did again was grab my telephone. That day, I was on the beach. I was with my family. They were visiting from another country. I was with the woman I love. And I probably checked my phone 100 times. And each time I checked it, it just took me further and further away from the moment that I was in. I was not enjoying the beautiful day. I was not enjoying the company of my family. I simply was there, but I wasn't present either for myself or for any of the people that mattered to me. And it wasn't just that day. My life had pretty much been like that for at least 10 years leading up to that day. Every day consisted of me waking up, checking some device, checking some information that was happening online, checking this again during breakfast, going to work, going home, during dinner, always checking my phone, simply not being present. And when dinner was over, I would go turn my computer on and spend another couple hours like that. I was getting very poor sleep quality, and I would often oversleep and wake up like I had jet lag in some sort of a daze. I didn't even want to see society or anything. I just sort of wanted to go again and look and check some device. And what I didn't realize was that I was addicted to technology. There's a couple of different names for it. Some people call it media addiction or internet addiction, technology addiction. There are studies that say that between 25 and 50% of the population are addicted to technology. Some people say they're not, some people say they are. For me, I understood it as when you're addicted to something, you're trying to avoid something. And you do whatever the addictive substance is. And I've struggled with all kinds of addictions in my life, from alcohol to drugs and cigarettes and anything that could be addictive, I'm just very susceptible to. So I understand addiction is that you're doing the addictive substance to avoid something. And in addition to that, you're doing it to the point where it's adversely affecting your health, adversely affecting your sleep, your diet, your exercise, and your relationships with other people. And I check the box for all of them, especially on relationships with other people, because even though I might have been there physically with someone, mentally I was just not there. I was at a different place, somewhere far away on the internet. The World Health Organization put out a report in November of 2023, and they say that there is a loneliness epidemic and that it's affecting 27% of the population. And that I didn't think loneliness was a disease or sickness, but they said that due to loneliness, you have an increased risk of cardiac problems, stroke, heart attack, dementia, depression, and a host of other illnesses, all from being lonely. So I decided to evaluate how I was using technology. And the question came up, do I really need to check this device 100 times a day? Is it absolutely necessary? And I began to realize that there was something akin to checking what's happening online or what's happening on the internet, which was similar to the feeling of like pulling the handle at a slot machine and seeing what was going to come up. What is going to come up? Am I going to make a lot of money? Does somebody love me? Is there some news which is good? Or is there some news which is bad? Are we going to go to war? Are the politicians going to destroy society? Is there something that I should be worried about? And this rush of grabbing the device and seeing what's going to happen, maybe that is what I was addicted to. And what was I avoiding? A lot of things: boredom, loneliness, being socially awkward and not wanting to interact with people and finding it easier to be entertained by digital media. So I decided to set a bottom line for myself. I said, okay, um, I was listening to a country gospel song called In the Garden, and the lyrics to the song are, I walk through the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses. And for some reason, that morning when I heard those lyrics, it made me want to cry because it had been at least a decade since I had seen dew on anything or been up in the morning or sitting out in the garden and watching a sunrise and simply enjoying the morning. And I said, I want my mornings back. I don't want to wake up and be thinking about what's happening on the online, what's happening in another world. I want to be present in this world. I want to take a shower. I want to drink my coffee, go for a walk, maybe get some exercise, take care of myself, be present with myself, and relax until the moment when I actually do have to work and I am finally ready and I turn my computer on. And at that point, then I'll just let it all, deal with everything that I have to deal with. And it took some time to be able to accomplish that, but I did. And it was amazing. It was absolutely life transforming. And then I started to think, well, what about my evenings? Can I get those back too? Can I get my weekends back? And this was the point where I started to carve out how I'm going to put digital media outside of my life and be more present in this world, and what exactly that means to me, and what the rules are going to be, and what things I'm going to cut out. So the question came up of all the different stuff that's out there, what's killing me the fastest? For me, it was absolutely the news. Like I would look at it and it would just put me in this complete state of panic. It was the thing that kept me up at night and gave me nightmares. And 99.6% of therapists that were surveyed agreed that consuming news is bad for your mental health. And I decided that no one put me in charge of the world. There's nothing I could do about these things. What I've learned from dealing with addiction is accept the things that you cannot change. These are things I can't change. If something important enough happens where I absolutely have to take action, somebody else I know who's watching the news is going to tell me what it is. I don't need to worry about it. I cut the news out of my life completely. The next one that came sort of by surprise. I heard this book was really good, so I read it. It was called Your Brain on Porn. There's also a TED Talk about it. And around halfway through the book, my mind was blown. I was like, wow, this is really going on. There are millions of young men today who are trying to quit pornography. When I first heard that, I'm like, why would anyone want to quit pornography? The reason is that erectile dysfunction is on the rise for men under 30. In the year 2000, it was 2%. Today, it's almost 30%. But this isn't the same type of erectile dysfunction that affects older men. This is something really different. These young men are perfectly normal and everything is fully functioning. It simply doesn't work when they're with another human being. The only way that things function is when they're consuming pornography. They call it porn-induced erectile dysfunction. It affects young men because this is part of the digital generation. I'm older, I don't have that problem, but I'm sure if I was born at a different time that I would have that problem because I'm the type of person who could just gets addicted to anything, and this stuff is out there. But it brought up the question, is this stuff affecting me? Is this affecting the way that I see myself? Is it affecting the way I see others? Is this affecting the way I interact with the woman that I love? And as I continued to read his book and the testimonials about how positive people were when they eliminated this stuff from their life completely, I said, what do I have to lose? I want to try this. So I cut that out of my life completely. But I didn't stop there. The next thing I said, I want to just cut out all media, every form of media whatsoever. Like no TV, no movies, no podcasts, audio books, social media. Social media. That was a tough one. I looked at my screen time. You could sort of see on your device maybe how much time you're spending online. And it turns out I was spending 3 to 4 hours a day on social media. Just 1 hour a day on social media turns out to 365 hours throughout the year. So, assuming you've got a 40-hour work week and you take lunch, that's you're losing 10 full weeks of productivity. But if you're at 2 or 3 hours, and some people are even at more, this is like losing half a year or a year where you could be doing something. I could be exercising. I could be taking care of myself. I could learn something new. I could make a new friend. I could do something with my life instead of sitting here and scrolling through this stuff. So I decided to eliminate it completely. Jim Carrey said, "Step into the river of your tears and face your sorrows, the pain that you've been hiding from, with everything from drugs, drinking, cigarettes, sex, gadgets, media addiction, and anything else that you could do to distract yourself from facing the abyss." And I turned it all off and I said, I'm going to face it. And it was absolutely terrifying. But I told myself, that's it. The only way that I'm going to be able to find fun or entertainment in my life, maybe not forever, but for now, is to get out there and to be present in this world and to live my life and to get out there and talk to people. And it was terrifying. I'm kind of socially awkward, and the first few times didn't go very well. Some people were rude to me. Some days were hard, but I just kept at it, and I repaired some of the relationships I had in my life that were not working out. And I started to form new ones, which I didn't even think was possible in my 50s. I still struggle with finding a balance. It's been 3.5 years that I haven't looked at the news. Been 1 year that I haven't looked at pornography. And I hope to go the rest of my life without ever seeing those two again. When it comes to regular media, I don't know what the right balance is. I still find myself going on YouTube to learn something or to check something and going down a rabbit hole where I lose 4 hours watching the dumbest videos that I don't even know why I keep watching the next one. And my battle is against the most powerful corporations in the world who are designing these things to be extremely addictive, to waste as much of our time as possible. And sometimes I'm failing at it, and I don't know what the right balance is for me. But other people that have come before me have had harder battles and been through more difficult things. There was one guy who he fought in World War One in the Battle of the Somme, and at that time it was the worst battle in all of human history. It went on for 4 months. There were 3 million men killing each other with everything from airplanes, guns, bombs, tanks. And it was the first time that chemical warfare was used on such a massive scale. And he was on the front lines getting gas bombed. Half of his friends died. He lived through the war. And when he got back, he wrote a series of books, which I happen to really like. And he ended his series of books. They weren't about the war, they were fantasy stories. He ended his series of books with something that went like, Frodo said to Gandalf, "I wish all this hadn't happened in my time." And Gandalf said back to him, "So do I." and so do all men to have lived in such times. But that's not for us to decide. We only can decide what to do with the time that's given to us. And for me, I decide to spend less of my time online.